Have you ever in your life been convinced to do something that you did and then you felt really uncomfortable? You can just say no to people pleasing. Hello, I'm Peaceful Nick the Medium, joined by the wonderful self love expert, Aunt Jen. Hello, Aunt Jen. How are you today?
I am doing very well, I must say. And how are you? We're doing a different time than usual.
We
So
are doing a different time, and the reason is my Mars contest is in full swing, and I am so energized by it.
that's so
It,
great.
it has been fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Scientists always come through for students and learning and just science, communication, and education,
Mhm.
especially because in this country right now, they are cutting science budgets dramatically and hello, Holly, being educated in the scientific, even basic science is super important. And I think it would solve a lot of our problems. In basic history,
Mm.
people need to know basic civics. Um, I don't even know if they make students pass a civics test anymore, but I had to pass one. So, so the boundaries I would put in place are all schools need to teach more science, get rid of computers and AI, and on and on and on. But boundaries are super important in any relationship. And saying no, as you've said many times, no is a complete sentence.
Mm.
So I'm just going to do a couple of announcements, then we're going to get into it. Like, share, and subscribe, please.
Please.
YouTube is sending our videos out a little bit more, which is great, which I'm very grateful for. We're grateful for every view, every like, every share, everyone who watches and comments on the replay as well. I have a coupon code for all my readings. They're very limited this summer due to my other job. The coupon code is all caps summer 2026 for 20% off any service. I also have a free reading gallery with medium Kathy Behrens. We are both certified evidential mediums through Mark Ireland and Helping Parents Heal. We have a free gallery via Zoom on June 24th. It's a
Mm.
90-minute gallery. It's free and open to the public. The Zoom link is on my socials. And I'm having a free development circle, but I have to pick the date and time. So stand by for that. That should be coming up in the next couple of weeks. Oh, and my Mediumship 101 book. You can get my books. They're all over my socials. They're on Amazon. They're on my website. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, Aunt Jen, what do you have going on?
Well, right now my schedule is packed, but come probably August, I will have a couple spots open. I just really enjoy my one-on-one work. It is I have someone I'm working with, and she's taking her big test tomorrow to be a nurse. So,
The NCLEX.
yes.
Yes.
So like I've been with her since freshman year. So this has been a long process, and I love it. I love being a part of people's journeys to learning who they are, learning how to use their voice, learning how to come up with boundaries. We were just talking about boundaries and being able to actually, what would you talk about today? There's someone she's going to see soon and she doesn't want to hug them. And so we discussed a way of being respectful, but also being able to have a boundary and being able to be able
Right.
to know that she's just not interested in being able to hug them. So no is something that we all learn. It takes a while. I'm still using the muscle. And I think that, like Nicole said, no is a complete sentence. And then the other piece that I really like to sit with myself personally is when I'm saying no, if I don't say no, then I'm saying no to myself. So I'm saying yes to them, and saying no to me. And so
That should be on a shirt.
when that one kind of happened, that's when I was just like, hold on a second. Like, this is really, it just made things really clear about all the yeses versus the nos. Not that we don't have to learn how to say no to ourselves. That's a muscle as well. However, like in pleasing someone else, right, to have them like me, if that was what the end result was, by saying yes, then what ended up happening is, do I like me? That was the question of like, and then it would be like, no. And it was like, oh, okay. So You're saying no to Aunt Jen when you're saying yes to them. And maybe we might want to visit that. It might be a little out of balance.
I am making notes because you say so many good things so fast, I can't keep up. When you said, if I'm not saying no to someone else, I'm saying no to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that makes people have self-loathing and resentments and anger towards themselves. And I'm going to give an example, a personal example. I don't mind giving personal examples because it's real life.
Yep.
I've been married 30 years. And there have been many times in my marriage. I mean, anybody who's been married a long time can probably understand this, or been in any long-term relationship. I have not said things I wanted to say. I have not asked for what I needed when I needed it. I have not pleased myself, and not in a selfish way, in a way when I needed space or I needed any certain type of whatever, affection, attention, just being alone, whatever it was, I wasn't asking for it. And I became very resentful of my husband, but I was really mad at myself.
Yes.
Because it's my responsibility to take care of my feelings. Yes. And not his responsibility to read my mind.
Yes.
Like a simple example for people who are watching and may have this problem in any relationship. I always worked 2 jobs or more, right? You know, you've known me my whole life practically. I'm always working, trying to make ends meet, trying to do blah, 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 blah. And I'd come home and my boys, who were teenagers at the time, not fans of washing dishes, would leave all their dishes in the sink. And I would get so mad. And I would have the biggest fits over the dishes, because not only would they leave the dishes, if anybody can relate to the dishes problem, please put it in the chat. I'd get so mad because they would leave all the dishes and I would just explode after the 10th time. And I would just be yelling and saying, blah, blah, blah. You could at least rinse and stack the dishes instead of piling them all on when I get home at 10:30 at night from my second job. And then I have to wash dishes because I got to get up at 6 a.m. to go to my first job. And the cycle continues. So I should have been more vocal in telling my husband, while I was at work at night, make sure they do the dishes, or you do that. Somebody clean up so I don't have to do it at 10:30 at night. And so that's just an example of, I was saying no to me.
Yeah. Yes.
Can relate to the dishes problem. And I bet anybody watching the replay can too.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it really is. It's like we are saying no to ourselves. And, generally speaking, for me, when I'm doing my reflection work or, trying to find out what's going on, I always know when I'm at a juicy part within whatever relationships, once I get to the place where I'm most mad at myself. That's when I've really gotten to a place where it's like, okay, you had your stuff, but I'm done with you. Now I'm with me, and I'm the most upset with myself for how I responded, or what I didn't do, or how I put up with this for so long and didn't say anything. That is always for me my trajectory of when the scale has tipped. Because, I like to sit there and blame too. We all do. Finding out and there's some truth to it. There's responsibility when there's anything going on between 2 people. However, once that shifts over and the weight goes to the other side, there's no turning back for me. And that's where I spend most of my time, is like, okay, what happened there? And why did we do that? And and then learning from it. So the next time I'm in that same situation, it might look similar, but it might look a little different, right? It might be a little bit, which is also it sounds easier said than done to just be like, well, just say no. It's not easy. And so it's a process. And it's a process within yourself of finding out what that is and how that works. And what I mean by that is, I could have a hard no, but I couldn't articulate that So I'd come up with something why I couldn't go until I
Right.
was able to get to a place in my life where I felt comfortable using my voice to just be like, thank you for inviting me, but no. Like, because we always feel like we have to have a reason. What's my excuse? What's my reason? Is this a good one? Instead of just being like, no.
Right. Exactly. And Carrie said, I just went off on everyone that just got home from work at 6:30 a.m. about the dishes. Exactly. And sometimes you have to navigate the boundaries around these things in a way that you don't go crazy and you're not causing, because it's not about, in this example, the dishes.
Okay.
It's about lack of respect
Mm.
for the person who ends up doing the dishes at 10:30 at night or 6:30 in the morning. It means everyone else around you doesn't have enough respect and doesn't honor your time and your hard work enough to help you out. And it's the adult in the house, not the kids. It's the adult who should be modeling that behavior. Now, if there's not another adult in the house, then you're going to have to sit your kids down and say, look, I work the night shift. You gotta, do the dishes, and teach them about it. And it's just really hard to make sure that people respect and honor your boundaries and time, but it's so good when you do it.
And it starts with us. It starts with us respecting our time and our boundaries and our, not saying that, whatever, but I mean, I remember when you went on strike for the dishes.
Yeah.
Right.
You seen me through the whole, I was going to tell that story next.
That changed everything. That was mic drop. Like you were just like done. Like,
right.
And it's like, I look at that situation because we're talking about it. Right. And so that's a great example because I've seen that whole trajectory with you. And so like, that was your catalyst for yourself of making it a turning point. And from that moment on, after you went on strike, it was never the same. Like that was your way of being able to be like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. Right. Creating a boundary, but you got pushed to a limit. And it also was a process to get there. And then there was a process after that, right, of continuing to go back because people will be like, okay, well, she said that the other day. That doesn't mean it's the same today.
Right. Exactly.
Change your mind, right? Let me try again. Like just because you say whatever that is and what your boundary is doesn't mean it's not going to come back around.
I think at one point I took the dishes and put them in my kid's room.
You did see it. You did a bunch. There was a bunch.
I did a bunch of stuff.
There's a lot of different things that happened.
If you want bugs, because I'm not washing these sticky, gross dishes. I just went and I worked 2 jobs. I went and got food. I didn't need to cook, at that point.
Yeah.
Like I can go get food for like $10. So I'm good. I don't. So.
No, but it changed the perspective. Like it was a whole, like, I mean, everyone stopped and was like, oh, maybe this is a little more serious than we thought. Right. And then it's like, oh, now you're listening. Now you're going to listen to me.
Exactly. It's a good model because, and I've talked about this many times, but mothers not only carry the physical load of all the chores in the house, they also carry the emotional load. And it's very, very hard when you're working 1 or 2 jobs and you've got these kids, you're dealing with their emotions, and your spouse or partner, or even if you're single, you're just carrying everything because women are taught to carry everything. And that is why, and this is such a great subject, women are having this awakening and saying no to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it is pissing men off. Men that are, not all men that are emotionally immature, men that don't understand respect for boundaries, men that weren't taught correctly. Right. Now, men do have the ability to learn, but especially these 20-something men who are sitting in the basements on the, computer saying mean things to people all the time, they're mad at women in general that won't date them or go out with them. But it's like, what are you bringing to the table? What are you bringing to the table? Our generation, Gen X, we were grandfathered in to being the wife, the mother, the maid, the nurse, the tax doer, the paperwork doer, the person who has intimate relationships with the spouse and work and do everything. We were grandfathered in because that behavior was modeled by our parents. But our children and children after that are learning, wait a minute, I've got a college degree and a job. I don't have to do all that. He can pull the load too. And just because you take me to dinner on a date doesn't mean you're going to get something. And so there's this whole pushback and all these boundaries. And I'm so proud of the younger women and the women our age and older who are putting up boundaries and saying, we're not doing that shit anymore. We're not going to just do whatever you want and be miserable ourselves when, look, I got my own job. I don't need you for a credit card. Well, now, I mean, who knows what kind of laws are going to be passed next, but it's a beautiful moment for the divine feminine. And it's all about boundaries and saying no. Gina said there are 3 other adults in her house that act like children. Go on strike. Go on strike. I did it and it works.
She did.
It works.
She did.
So what else? What would you say to someone who, say you're mentoring somebody?
Okay.
Somebody asked me this question in the last couple of days because they saw our little placard. And what would you say to somebody who comes to you and they, have a family, a dysfunctional family, like everybody, right? Everybody's got a dysfunctional family. And this person's loved one, who they're very close to historically, wants them to behave a certain way, but the person asking for the behavior change doesn't want to change, but they don't want to have a relationship unless the other person changes. What would you say? How would you counsel the person who's being said, you better change, and the other person doesn't want to change? How would you tell them to put up boundaries and manage that?
Well, I would have to ask a bunch of discovery questions that may lead down certain ways.
Okay, so I know a good bit about the situation. Let's pretend I'm the person.
Okay. So how do you feel when you're around this person?
Terrible.
Okay. And and what is it that is making you have to hang out with them? Why do you have to be with them?
I'm a historical people pleaser and I feel like I need love from them.
Okay. So right then and there, from that question, what I'm gaining is that this is all about them wanting to be somewhere with someone. They don't have to be there, right? They're choosing to be there so they can choose to not be there as well. And they want to people please. So depending on where they were at, and again, this person, like I would be like, if we're talking about a situation, this is a bigger situation, right? We're talking about a situation that's coming up and we want to figure out how to create a boundary or how to create a no. I'd probably have them close their eyes. I probably would guide them through like trying to find something. Where is it in your body? Right. And then asking some questions, specifically if like there's something coming up that you're like, okay, I got to go to this and I don't want to go. Okay. So how does that feel when you're asking yourself to be going to this thing? Oh, it's a real hard no. Okay. Why is it a hard no? What are you afraid? Like, and I'd have them like talk about everything. Like I'd ask questions to be like, okay, what are you afraid of that's going to happen at this event? Like, what would be the worst case scenario? What could be the best case scenario? Like, what would happen if you weren't there? What's that going to look like if you're just not there? And so then I would, from their answers, right, and from where that kind of gauge is going, if it was coming to I'm just going to make up the end story, right? So the end story is, or did you want to say something?
Well, somebody in the chat, Mandy, said they may have a fear of abandonment.
Well, yes, that's very true too. And so what would end up happening is we would walk through some different things to get to the fact of like, if you're saying no, you're saying no to yourself. So I would probably do some different things for them to realize how much right now in this moment, in this situation, where they're coming from, because things can change tomorrow from different work and things that you do. This is how you're feeling. So what would it be? What would be the worst case scenario if you don't go? Right? Oh no, it's okay. I wouldn't have to go. Like, that's not necessarily what it is. Okay, so then I would probably help try and guide them to figure out which is the better compromise for them. And if staying home was something that they needed to do this time, just this situation, finding the best outlet for it to be an okay reason for yourself not to be there. Now, how, going back to the other question, because it felt like it was like there was a bunch of stuff in there that I wanted to get into. Like, how do you do that when someone's feeling like that and what's going on? Like, generally speaking, if someone says they're not going to change, you have to change. Like, well, generally, like, I need to shift anyway because I'm in this relationship with the other person. So I would really stay on my side of the street, meaning, even though it's not easy to do, once I could, get off my own complain wagon, whatever you want to freaking call it, after you've been heard, felt, and seen about it, then honestly, what it would be like is, hey, hold on a second. Like, this is about you. And like, so by you changing and shifting your own self, you do not show up the same with other people. That I know for a fact. Yes. So that person can say you need to change. I'm not going to change. But if you change your own self, you automatically show up differently and it will change. How it changes is to be determined, and how quickly it happens. Like, everyone wants everything so quickly, and it doesn't work like that. I'm really sorry. It's quite a long journey. And where are you going to go? Where are you going?
Right. Exactly. You do want instant gratification.
Yeah.
So I want to say hello to a girl who loves penguins, and hello, Araceli. Welcome in, everybody. We're talking about saying no to people pleasing, and saying yes to yourself.
So I don't know if that answered. It was kind of like but that was kind of the idea of like some of the ways I would work to try and get them to feel. The end result is to make you feel comfortable with inside yourself for whatever you're going to do, whether you're going to say no, whether you're going to go and have to show up and we're just going to handle yourself differently because we have different things within ourselves that we're going to be able to respond, or we're going to ask ourselves a few questions, or we're going to go to the bathroom a lot. To just go and regroup yourself, to kind of get away, to kind of like, so yes, people pleasing, being a band, like, that's all part of the process. And honestly, the first step is saying that, owning that, realizing that that's actually why you're in this unhealthy relationship, that is actually why you keep on showing up the way you show up. And then sometimes that's it right there. Like, you're just kind of like, acknowledging that, but you have to truly acknowledge it. Like, that is the first step of being like, whoa, I've allowed that to happen, and I would like to shift that. I'm the one who's been creating this energy to some degree.
I will tell a quick personal story, and I've told this before on live streams. I was 50 years old before I said no and told the truth of why to a certain group of people. Mm-hmm. Not to everybody, but a certain group of people that I repeatedly made excuses to not spend time with. Mm-hmm. And finally, when I was 50, I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Mm-hmm. I can't, I'm not comfortable with this situation. Hello, Cole How Clips. I don't know what that says, but hello.
Hello, everybody.
And I will say, you said something about shifting relationships when you shift. Mm-hmm. I've mentioned this before as well. I am a manager. I don't know if anybody knows that about me, but I like to manage things. Probably from my 20 years in the classroom and retail management before that. So I like things to be, in a spreadsheet and in a certain way. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a schedule and being on time to things. I think that's a good thing. But in relationships, sometimes the other person doesn't want to be managed in a romantic relationship. And again, I've been trying to manage my marriage for 30 years because I think it should be a certain way. Now, judge me or not, whatever. I mean, you're not in my life, so you don't really know all the ins and outs of it. But when I step back from managing everything, and I don't mean, when I say managing, I mean emotional management.
Mm,
I don't mean controlling, you can't go do this, or that's not the kind of managing. I mean emotionally managing.
mm,
Like, when there's an argument, I really want a resolution, and I'm very uncomfortable until there's a resolution. And
mm,
sometimes there's not a resolution.
mm,
And when I stopped trying to get that resolution, and let I let go the managing of the emotions part of my marriage,
mm,
everything shifted.
mhm,
Everything shifted because I learned I'm a slow learner. Took 3 decades. My husband does not like to feel pressured,
mm,
and I don't either. So I should have known that. And so
mm,
anytime I would pressure him for resolution to some whatever situation,
mm,
the dishes or whatever, he would run
mhm,
like chasing a puppy.
mhm,
And so when I stopped trying to force that resolution or
mm,
managing anything emotionally, everything changed. It
mhm,
was it was really miraculous.
mhm,
We have a totally different dynamic, and this just happened in the last year,
mhm.
and it's a very different dynamic.
It really does. Like going back to the question that you had stated about somebody, that one's not as much of a. I mean, it was. I tried to going off on other things, but honestly, if that was presented the way it was presented, my main thing would be focusing on the person. And the reason being is because my therapist, who I still go to, I still have somebody, I still have a coach, and I still have a therapist, because it helps me to stay current with myself. I'm still doing my work so that I can show up for everybody else. But this was, this was 2011 that she told me this, and it's never not rang true. She's like, you change and you transform your whole family. And I'm sitting there crying, being like, there's no way this is possible, right? I'm thinking about my immediate family, right? Which is my brother, my mother, my father. And I'm like, there's no way. Like, this woman she does not know what she's talking about. Like, you mean here I am doing all the work still, felt like, right? Now I'm going to keep doing all this work, and they're just going to change because, like, and it's true. Every single one of them shifted in their own little way, even back in 2011. And the main reason was because I changed. So because I changed, I didn't show up the same. They couldn't interact with me the same.
Right.
So the truth is, to the question of what would you say to somebody who said, this person told me you need to change, and if I'm not changing, I would focus on myself. I mean, at first, be like, do you want to be in a relationship with this person? But second of all, like, I mean, and the truth of the matter is, like, I would also probably push this person a lot, because I'm like, well, have you heard this before? Or is this the only person that's saying that to you? And if it is that there's a commonality, you're the common denominator. There is a piece of you. And so you focus on yourself. You go on your side of the street, you do your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does have influence of parents and friends and all of it, but there's a piece of you. Where is your part? Do your work on yourself so that you can become stronger and you can become more confident in who you are. And then you can go back up there and show up against them.
And I could not have said that any better. That is perfect. No matter how dysfunctional your family dynamic is, because you could have a family of 2 or you could have a family of 22. Every family has dysfunction. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how dysfunctional they are. If you change, you're either their relationship with you will shift and they will grow, or they won't grow and your relationship will fade. And that's exactly what happens anytime somebody, like, because I teach mediumship and I teach spiritual growth. Mm-hmm. When I teach my students about your spiritual journey and how we see things. Here's the three-dimensional world. Here's our frequency that has shifted. As your frequency shifts, you notice some people in your three-dimensional world fall away because you have shifted. So it's very similar to what you're saying. But it is part of the way I teach my classes as well. You can't expect people to understand you when you are growing and learning and shifting to a different frequency, because you see the world very differently. And we shouldn't, and this is not to say we're judging the world. This is not to say that we're judging people and people are bad or they're on a lower frequency. And I used to say higher frequency and lower frequency, but I changed that to say a different frequency, because not from a spiritual standpoint, not everyone who is born on this earth right now is meant to grow. Not everyone now is meant to evolve. And so I have a purpose, and it is meant to grow and evolve. And I know that for me. And the people in my life can either grow and shift with me, or I will love them. I will always love them and have love for them. But that doesn't mean I have to be around them all the time or anytime. Mm-hmm. And I can be honest and say, if you want me to go to someone's funeral, but my abuser from childhood will be there, I'm not going. Mm-hmm. Even if it's somebody I should go to their funeral, if my abuser's there, I won't be there. Mm-mm. Because
that's your boundary. That's your boundary. And people don't, it's like saying no and having your boundaries. And sometimes, it's easy. That's why sometimes you have to come up with something. You can't just say no. You have to be, for a long time I was sick. That was mine.
You had allergies a lot. I remember.
Because I didn't know how to say no. I didn't. Mm-hmm. The other part of it is also, like, at least for me, everyone has their own thing. For me, the no comes before I understand why. It's just a no, and I can't always explain it. And then I find out after, and I'm like, oh, see, that was why you was not supposed to be there. And so, like, that my inner instinct. And so I follow my inner gut instinct sometimes without even understanding and knowing. But when you're supposed to be going somewhere, somebody wants something from you, and they want you to be there, or this and that. Like, they don't want to have you say no. For the longest time back in the day, no one said no to me. Like, I was a salesperson. Like, are you kidding me? I'm getting the yes. I'm not getting a no, right? So it's like you get to these places. And so my point of this whole thing was, like, you have to be honest with yourself. And so maybe that in turn is not always being honest with other people, and you feel like that can be a disconnect. And it's like, if you don't have a strong enough to say a no, you have to protect yourself until that becomes the voice where you can be able to say, no, thank you. Thank you
right.
for me, but that takes time. And yet, what do you do in the meantime? Just keep showing up?
No.
Again, so when you're saying yes to someone else, are you saying no to yourself? And there's a difference between a no and a hard no.
Right. Hi, Carol. There is a huge difference between a no and a hard no. And I can tell you this, my hard no's come a lot easier these days. My hard no, and before I would put myself in situations I was very uncomfortable with, and I would be physically ill. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'd make myself physically ill.
That's what I'm saying. I'd literally make myself ill because it felt like it was the only way to be able to say no. And I actually made myself sick because it was like, oh, you got to be sick, right? People don't want to be around someone who's sick. That's that's a free pass.
And COVID was a glorious time because you could always use that as an excuse. Oh, thank you, Carol. Carol loves my earrings. Of course, I have star earrings. And I have a moon necklace and a sun.
Happy Wednesday night to you too.
Happy Wednesday.
We usually start the day and we're ending the day together.
Right. Yes.
We next week too.
Yes, we will be on at this time next week because I have my Mars competition, which is many, many hours, and it's Oh, so good. But that's not what this is about. I could talk about it all day long. But yes, having the confidence to say no, and understanding that the only person you should be people pleasing is yourself.
Mhm.
Period. If and you know, I didn't understand what people pleasing was until I watched The Big Bang Theory, which is a TV sitcom, for those of you who don't know. And I'm not talking about The Big Bang Theory in the universe. Hi, Donna. Thank you, Carol. And one of the characters, Leonard, is a people pleaser, and he always kind of irritated me because I'm like, why doesn't he just say no? Like, why doesn't he just say no? I didn't understand that you know there are people who really really don't feel like they can say no, and I don't know why, because I was in a situation similar, and it was just a whole like realization for me, like some people are like that all the time in every situation.
People want, I mean, let's be real. Like, no matter what, everybody wants to be liked. I don't care who you are. You want to be liked, you want to be accepted. We want to be, especially if you weren't in your life, right? And so it's like, that's what people pleasing, like, that's a lot of it about. Like, someone's going to like me, or they're going to be mad at me. Oh, what's going to happen? You know, but I think that it's really important to find out what your piece is. And what I mean by that is, like, do you go to the people pleasing? Do you go to, you know, I was just having a discussion with someone who she does a lot of, we both do a lot of work. We both are out there, and like, she had gotten clear with herself. She's like, you know what? I go the people pleasing route. Like, automatically. She's like, she doesn't, so we're trying to figure out, like, well, how do you get that stop, right? You want to be able to, but then you just automatically are always trying to help everybody and do everything. For me, it's a big no, and I just run because I don't know how to articulate it. Because before I would stay there and want to people please. Now that I don't do that anymore at all, now I'm in a new phase where it's like, well, where'd she go? Oh, she just ran off. Like, because I'm not doing anything. Like, there's plenty of other things that are going on, right? I just know it's a big hard no for me, but I can't really always articulate that the way you want me to. I just know that it's a no. And so it's like, but was that the phase I've always been in? No. So it's like you're evolving and going through the different parts and process of yourself. But it's like, we get to start by, you know, whether you're a parent, whether you're not a parent, like, you're your own parent for your own inner child that maybe didn't get what they needed. So finding out for them what's going on and looking out for them and being able to say yes to them and no to somebody else.
Exactly. Missy Birdie Mom, hi honey, said boundaries are hard. Saying no has been a long road for me. I am doing baby steps and feeling better.
Yes. And isn't it? I mean, Missy, that's what it is. Like, that's a great example. Like, it's hard. It's been a long road. I'm so glad that you put that in there. It's not just for you. It's been a long road for me too. Just FYI, baby steps. Exactly. And being able to, like, see how that one landed and be like, oh, that did really well. Okay, now I'm not gonna try that one again, right? Or like, wow, that was an easy no. Person didn't even freaking care, right? Like, so just like getting through all of the pieces within yourself, and it is a process. And then it's like a muscle. Everyone, you go out there and you're working out, you're building a muscle. Well, you don't have a muscle for saying no, so it's going to have absolutely no definition. It's not going to be strong enough to work. It's not going to, like, you're not going to be able to depend on it. Something else is going to take over. And so it's just about starting to build that muscle of even practicing in the mirror, saying no to yourself, like seeing how that happens and like how that feels and just trying it on.
Yeah. And I agree. It is good that she said it's been a long road. Mm-hmm. All of this stuff is a long road. Yes. It's like I posted on Facebook about what would you tell somebody that they don't know about grief? And I got so many responses to that post because grief is such a long journey. It is so long, and it can take forever and ever. And it does, and it will. And it just comes in waves. And it's grief. And I know that seems like out of left field, but when you are shifting and changing how you show up in your relationships, you will have grief. It's not just when you lose a person who physically dies. When you lose people in your life that you can no longer have a relationship with for all the variety of reasons that there are, it is a grieving process.
Yes, it is.
I have family members who I no longer have contact with because I disagree with some pretty major things that have happened. And I grieve that because these were family members I was close to for most of my life, and then they made some decisions that I did not agree with, and I grieve those relationships even though they're quite dysfunctional. I still grieve the good parts of those relationships. So just because you have, let's say 20% good times with somebody, but 80% is terrible, you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? What's your boundary going to be? Donna said, I'm trying to say no. I suck at it, not duck, she said. But when I do say no, people think I'm pissed off. Let them think it.
Yeah. Well, because generally, if you think about it, like if you're saying no to them, they want something. They want something to be a part of something. There's a need there. And so you're not filling that for them. So yes, the thing is that it's interesting. I'm saying some of the same stuff that I said today with a couple clients, but it's like what you say is all about you. How they respond is a reflection of them. It doesn't have to do with you. So if you're saying no to something and you're in a very calm and, you're just like, that's not going to really work for me. Thank you very much for inviting me, but I'm going to have to pass. Oh my God, whatever the way. Their reaction is not about you. And we take that very personally and think it's not. That's about them. That is how they respond. And so that's important to always be remembering, like, well, how does this person always respond? Okay, then what is that really about? Right? What is that really about? And it's also about it takes time to try to use that voice of yours that hasn't been used that way, especially when you're the only one and everyone else around you, all your family and everyone, they're all on the same team. And you look like you're the one that's like, wait, I don't fit in here. Like, what is that? And that makes it harder. And that's why, spending more time with yourself, spending more time with people that actually can support you in what you're doing while you're doing your work. And having healthy boundaries. People are not going to understand because they still want access to you.
And what you can do for them.
So when you cut off access, people don't really like it that much. And, I've never been a cutter of access per se, but I started cutting access people to me just within the past, probably when the pandemic, because I didn't know what else to do with the different things that were going on. And it was kind of like, okay, this has got to stop. But I always want everyone to like me. And but it was like, I wasn't liking me. That's the question. Do you like you? Do you like you right now while you're sitting here spinning, doing all the things that you're doing by saying yes to everybody where you really want to say no? Do you like you? And in the end, you're the one that has to take care of you. You're the one that has you. You're the one that has the longest relationship with you. So these people are going to come and go, but your relationship with you is the longest, most important relationship. So got to start there of being honest with yourself.
Exactly. And I love that you said
hard though.
Yeah. Holly said, yes, Jen, so on point. And I love that you said their reaction is a reflection of them, not you, because people panic. If you've been in a relationship with someone or several people and you've been the people pleaser and they're pushing back on your boundaries, it is very clear that they were gaining something from your relationship by you not having boundaries. And now they're in shock and they're mad. Yes. They're mad that you won't allow them to cross your boundaries anymore.
Yeah.
And that is your answer. Did I do the right thing? If they're mad at you or they're dismissing you or they're saying you're just overreacting, you're too sensitive, you're hysterical, whatever the hell they say, that is your answer to I did the right thing by putting up that boundary. Because anyone who has compassion and understanding and supports you, if you give them a boundary, they're either going to say, I love you, I understand, let me think about it. Or they're going to say, I I'm a little surprised by this and I need a little more time, or they're going to say, okay, I hear you completely.
Mhm.
And I will honor that boundary to the best of my ability. And if I make a mistake, please bring it to my attention.
Mhm.
Some of those types of things, not F you, you're supposed to babysit my kids for free for the rest of your life so I can go to the bar or whatever it is,
Yeah.
what.
No, it is. That's a good, I mean, that's one that someone, I mean, that's very often is something. And then it's like, wait, and then you can, wait, you've been doing this forever and now you're not going to do it anymore. Right. And so, and then you get to like see how your progress has gone. Right. And for looking at my own progress for myself, like from not being able to say it at all to being okay to be able to say it to now, like if someone tells me a boundary that they have, oh, I think it's real sexy. It's hot. Like I think it's a very attractive quality. Like I look anyone like and usually it's not about like I get out of my own way real quick because I'm just like this is their boundary. This is them of like kind of what's going on. But I find that invigorating, and so it makes me kind of continue and be like, oh, maybe someone else finds that with me. I think the other thing is it's really important. My mom taught me this, and I mean, it really has come in handy. She's always told me, and I think it's very true, it's all in the way that you say something. So you're not sitting there being like, no, I don't want it. Like, I mean, if that's how you want to do it, then go ahead. But like, it's about being able to express yourself of like, no, thank you. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and pass. Like, it could be a very kind, easy, nice way of doing something without blaming other people, right? Or whatever, putting all this effort out there. But it really is all in your presentation. Like that makes a very big difference. And if you're standing there and part of your boundary is to blame other people while you're still doing it, then, you might want to go back to the drawing board a little bit because that's not the point of creating that. Like we're not sitting here trying to make other people wrong. And you can also just see that's where you're at in the trajectory of it right now, which can shift and change, which can evolve and move and be like, okay, I guess I got to take that part out of the equation, right? Because it's like, this is your boundary. For you, people are not going to like boundaries, especially like we've talked. I mean, I could talk about that forever, especially when it changes what they want. Their
Right.
outcome, period.
Right.
They're not getting what they want anymore, or you're cutting them off completely. And they're like, wait, what? Right. And it's just like, these are all processes.
Yes, they are. I want to say hello to Love Base Wicca. That's Lady Shadow. If everybody
Hey.
go subscribe to Love Base Wicca, which is Souls and Spirits over on the YouTube. And Miss Lucille said, hello, beautiful ladies. Lucille, I got your email, but I've been on Mars all day. So I have not responded. I definitely will. I saw it. I promise I will get to it. So thank you for being here, sweetheart. And I'll send you a private message about the other stuff. The way people respond is really important and very telling.
The way they respond is about them. Their response is all based on them, just like your response is based on you. Like being able to notice, if that's where I start to see my stuff is if someone's coming at me in the way I would respond very defensively and emotionally. Now I don't. Now if someone's telling me something, I sit back, I listen a little more. And it's all about me and my growth for me, like of being like inside myself and being like, oh, wow, look at the trajectory of where I'm going. But anytime someone's responding to you, generally it's about them. It's not about you, especially when you're saying a no. People don't like no. I mean, technically, a salesperson, like, I don't want to know. What do you mean, no? Hello, right? And so it's like, but there's a difference between finding the no like that that's a soft no, right, that can be moved with, and then there's a no that's a boundary. That's a very hard no against who I am as a human being and an individual.
Right. And you said something earlier I want to mention. How do you feel if you don't say no and you have to spend time with these people for whatever the million of different reasons we have that we feel obligated, forced, manipulated, whatever it is, into having, going to somebody's birthday party or funeral or graduation or whatever it is? How do you feel when you don't say no? Like, how do you feel when you're around them? If you feel like totally drained, probably should rethink that. because some people are energy vampires and they want you around to steal your energy.
Yes.
And that's why you feel so drained when you are around people like that. Because if you are anybody here who's watching this for the right reasons and not a stalker in the background or a bot, anybody here who's watching this for good intentions probably has energy vampires in their life who want your light. They don't know that. They can't articulate that. They don't know, oh, when Jen comes over, she's got so much good positive energy. I'm just going to suck it all away from her. And then I'm going to feel great. And she's going to feel like crap when she leaves. But I'm going to feel really good because she's got all that energy. And I'm going to do something. What it could be something positive, could be something negative, usually something negative, that sucks all her energy out, and then she's deflated when she leaves. Now, Jen's not going to want to come back and spend time with me if I do that. And you shouldn't want to do that either. This whole subject is about letting you know it's okay to say no to people. And if they respond in a negative way, it's very telling about who they are.
And remembering that when you're not saying no to someone else, you are saying no to yourself. So if you're okay with that no. I think the other thing is that, thinking of some people, like the whole spectrum of where people fall on the no, right? Maybe they're like, listen, thanks for saying that, but like, I'm never going to be able to not go. Well, then maybe start off by popping and rolling. You pop into the event and then you roll on out. You make your presentation.
Take your own car.
That is what I generally do on the regular 95% of the time, because I'm going to go ahead and control the situation within myself, and I'm going to go ahead and show up. But once I see some old behaviors or things that just don't work for me, or, whatever that looks like, I'm not making anybody wrong for it. I'm just out. I'm good. I've come, I've said hello, I've wished greetings for the birthday, and now I'm going to go. And that can be something where you might not think like you're saying no, but that is a no. That's starting off as a softer no, of being like, no, I'm not going to stay for the whole time. You have to tell everybody that. You start with your own no. You know what? Okay, I'm going to go. I'm not really ready to say no yet, but I'm going to keep some stipulations, right, about whatever that looks like on why I need to leave. And this is my reasoning. And that's just the way it is. And I'm going to start there. See how that feels with myself.
Baby steps. It's not about, okay, everybody, when we're done with this live stream, go tell everybody no. It's not that easy. It's an entire process. Some people, it takes way longer. Like I said, I was 50 the first time I said no to a certain group of people that I should have been saying no to for a very long time. The first time I said no and told the truth of why. I was saying no, but lying and saying, oh, I don't feel good, or blah, 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 my head hurts, or whatever.
Right.
My husband has COVID. That was my favorite excuse. Anyway, I'm contagious. Hi, Kelly. I'm so glad you're here, sweetheart. Wisdom Seeker said, yes, indeed. Spot on, Nick. There are indeed energy vampires out there. And Lady Shadow comes in with the wisdom all the time. Boundaries, here, let me put it up here so it's bigger. Boundaries are so important. And yes, energy vampires are real. There are energy vampires and there are literal disruptors. You gotta watch them closely.
Yep. And you have to be in touch with yourself of where you're at to actually be able to gauge them. And that's a process too. So if you hadn't even realized these people are like this, and all of a sudden you're like, that's growth. Like you're starting to see that. And like that, those are the steps of like, okay, I'm on my way. I'm moving. Like it just doesn't work that way. Like having the longingness to say no and want to create boundaries, that's your drive. And once you have that longingness and that drive, then you just start to have conversations with yourself of who you're saying no to and who you're saying yes to.
Exactly. And the Wisdom Seeker loves pop and roll.
I'm telling you, like I am like,
You've been like that forever.
I have. Like I just literally, and I usually used to be the first one to be at places because I wanted to see everybody coming. Right, having a good time. And then once everything starts getting a little cry, like usually that's when I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. Like this would become way too overwhelming for me. Like now it just is a little bit different. Now I just will say, you always, my heart might want to be somewhere, but I can still say no. for the way that it doesn't mean that I don't, because that was the whole thing too. Like, wait, I'm saying no, I don't want to do, that's my family. I love them. Like, why am I saying no to that? Right? Like, I can't handle this right now. Like, I can't handle the way they live their life. I can't so it's really about being honest and checking in with yourself on where you're at. What's your temperature? Where are you at in this moment? Like, maybe things can shift and change. Like, we all change regularly. So, it's like really finding out what is really going on with yourself, because by not being able to do that, and you are saying and putting yourself out there, that's where disease starts. Like, it's just like being able to, like, because you're not really honoring yourself. Like, you're trying to, but like, you're not. And so it's like, again, the first step is just at least acknowledging, like, oh my gosh, I'm totally abandoning myself. Like, oh my gosh, like, okay, well, I don't know what to do yet. I'm just at least I'm starting there. At least I know that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to look further, into that and ask myself some gentle, compassionate questions to find out more. But like, that's the first step, is being honest with yourself. Like, whoa, I guess I'm doing that. And I don't really want to do that anymore.
It's all about loving yourself. And I say it all the time. Like, the first page of and I'm just saying this, looking at it so I remember, the first page of my Sky Inspire book says, you are worthy, you are loved, and you are right where you are meant to be. If you understand that you are worthy, and you understand that you are loved, and that you're right where you're meant to be, you will have the strength to start the process to say no, even if it's a little no, even if it's a pop and roll no. Eventually you'll get to those hard no's, and you'll be able to say them with confidence.
Yes. Because
with the truth. And you don't always have to elaborate. Sometimes elaborating
is really
is to satisfy your ego, and you don't have to. You can just say, no, I'm just, and if they ask a follow-up, I'm just not comfortable with that situation. You don't have to say anything else. And if they push you, say, are you sure you really want to know? That's what I say.
I'm sorry, they're gonna have their opinion no matter what, though. So it really doesn't matter. Like, they're gonna, how they respond to you is all about themselves, and so they're gonna have that. But boundaries, by us creating boundaries, that's a way of loving ourselves. And when we aren't creating boundaries, that's a way of sabotaging ourselves.
Right.
Again, noticing I'm not having my own back. I'm not, like, you have to be able to witness it and be honest with yourself of where you truly are before you can actually truly move anywhere else. And it's not about a negative thing of being like, oh my gosh, I can't say no, I'm a loser. Like, no, it's not. Like, that's exciting that you can exactly witness that. Some people will never get to that place.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're better than them, but I'm just saying, like, and so it's like, it's really just analyzing where you're at now, what you're trying to do now. But it does, we've talked about it, and it's true. There's a tribe out there that you can find that might not be the tribe that you started off with, but the path of saying no and the path of healing and the path of doing things, like, it's an individual path. So it's lonely. Like, it's a solo journey. Like, it's you. And so you're the one that gets to do the journey. And so it can be very lonely. So, saying no is just going to create more of that. So is that really, like, it's looking at, it's really just evolving yourself into that love for yourself. And people are just always going to want what they want.
Right. Love yourself enough to know that it's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself enough to know that it's okay to say no.
And people will be disappointed at times because, even if it's something that you want to say no to, that's not even a bad situation, they want to be around you. Like, that's great. That's why it's like, thank you. I wish things were, I'm not available. Like, thank you very much for the invitation, but I'm not able to join.
Sometimes you just want to lay on the couch and watch Netflix and just be alone.
Well, you have really control over who's getting in and what's happening by doing some of those things too. Otherwise, there's a lot of, when you're interacting with a lot of people, that's a lot of personality going on.
Yeah, a lot of energy.
Yes.
Especially for the type of people who are watching this. We are all probably empaths. And so we take on that energy. So you have to have that energy boundary. I want to say before we wrap up, we're at the top of the hour. Wisdom Seeker said, I've learned that the hard way. I'm afraid. Since my awakening, I have learned to release those who don't serve me. Very good. I've outgrown so many friends this past year. I'm so enjoying my peace. That is chef's kiss for that.
It is a peaceful thing. And it's also, there's the part like you were talking about, it's sad. I mean, I've been definitely grieving lots of losses of long-term friendships or long-term different things where it's like, and it's sometimes you just have to let people go and maybe they'll come back.
Right.
It's very true. Those things can happen, but it's just like, we're not we're not circling in the same things. And we don't even see eye to eye in anything. So just because you have a longevity of a relationship doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice yourself. But it is a process. It is a grief. It's a loss. It's a death in some ways.
It is. It is. It's a grieving process. We will be back next week. We love you all. Thank you for joining us. We know this was a kind of intense and heavy conversation, but we think it's very important. You are worthy. You are worthy. You are loved. You are loved. And thank you, Aunt Jen, for your wisdom as always. We will see you in 1 week. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.